Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday Warrior Weekly, the weekly race for Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Alongside Ryu Station, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and we're going to be bringing the action here to you as we have, four of our runners are going to be racing on stream, but it looks like we've got a grand total of 9 across the board here. Our featured runners tonight are going to be Game Boy F9, Mr. Holmes, Thilo Tilo, and Sparkover. And Ryu, man, where do we begin with this here? Is the chat already getting the commands in?
Well, unfortunately, in Randomizer, trying to do a little manipulation with commands is more often than not going to go in your favor, but never hurts to try, and every now and again you'll get that little bit of luck that help you out with it.
Most certainly, and the object of Dragon Warrior is to defeat the Dragon Lord. To do so, well, our runners will have to find certain select items that they will trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will create the bridge to Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. Along the way, they'll be fighting enemies one at a time in order to gain experience to get levels added to their amount here, and also gold to help buy weapons, armor, and items in their quest. And well, the first thing we're going to be looking for when we start off here, as our runners will be starting off momentarily, that would be none other than the 3 treasure chests in the throne room, looking to see what might be able to help them out. Might they be able to find an early weapon, an Erdrick's sword? Might they be able to find magic keys to be able to open certain locked doors? Could it be a nice plethora of gold? Or could it be some herbs to help heal them up as they go along here?
Well, I know me personally, my personal hope is always some fun items in the first 3 chests. Of course, you have the obligatory magical key, which lets you out of the throne room. But I also like seeing some stuff that's typically none too useful, like maybe some fairy water and a cursed belt.
Oh, you're a cruel, cruel man, Ryu.
It does happen from time to time. You'll get those items that are less than desirable. It's always just kind of a little bit of a slap in the face, like, you couldn't have given me something.
Well, we will see what those somethings are, and you see the icons on their screen there. The items that they're going to be looking for, some of those key items would include the Silver Harp, Erdrick's Token, and the Stones of Sunlight. And that Silver Harp will be traded into a particular old man in a cave for the Staff of Rain, and the combination of the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token will allow them to get the Rainbow Drop.
Which it is entirely possible that some of those items, such as the Silver Harp, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token, could also be in the throne room as well. I can remember here recently, actually, I had one where the Stones of Sunlight were actually in the throne room, and then the Silver Harp and Erdrick's Token was in the treasury, and there was also Erdrick's sword in the throne. So every item was just right there, and then Cole was just a few steps away, which had the armor. So it can start out really nice, or it can just be a big old womp womp.
Now, the armor that Ryu is referencing is Erdrick's armor, which is the best armor in the game, and it is in one of 3 searchable locations. One is in the town of Cole, 4 steps south of the Baths. Another is in the town of Hawksnest, an abandoned town that has an enemy guarding it. And the third could be somewhere on the overworld, in which our racers would gather the coordinates from a man in the town of Cantlin. And the other possible search items that could be among those locations are the Erdrick's Token, as well as the Fairy Flute. And that Fairy Flute can be used on an enemy known as the Golem, one of the more tough enemies in the game, to be able to put it to sleep.
Yeah, Fairy Flute can definitely be a useful item, but it's always kind of a little bit of a letdown when you're hoping for the armor, and you get to Cole, and then that's what you find is the Fairy's Flute.
Certainly a lot of challenges, to say the least.
Oh, definitely so. And then, of course, you have the more challenging Guardians, and Hawksness, as this is normal flags and not Chaos, where you could run into something that's a lightweight. So you will have more tougher enemies such as the Red Dragons, the Armored Knights, the Axe Knights, the Blue Dragons, as well as the Golems. And none of which you really want to have to fight there, and then get something such as the Fairy Flute as well. It's kind of a, well, at least I did it, and I know it's not needed, but now that I've done it, it doesn't matter.
So a lot of different factors. Now, what's randomized here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, the overworld map is, as well as the town and cave locations. Also, the items in the treasure chests and searchable spots, those are randomized. The contents of the weapon and armor shops are randomized, as well as the spells that can be learned. All 10 spells can be learned, will be guaranteed to be learned by level 16, but you can learn them in any order along the way.
Yes, and of course, as you can see on the tracker, there is Heal More and Hurt More, which are the two most desirable spells to learn early on, as Heal More will guarantee you can out-heal any damage done to you, and Hurt More gives you a better chance of taking out some of the more higher experience-giving enemies. But more often than not, you don't get those to start with, but man, when you can start with one of those two spells, especially Hurt More, you can really just venture out and get some quick experience easy, so long as you have MP to start with.
So just in our discussion here over the last couple of minutes, a lot of different factors that can come into play, a lot of different assessment of strategies, even down to the entering of the names as you see on screen.
And I was actually just getting into that. We do see that all four runners, we have two little Ds, one big Z, and a little T, which all four of those will be a strength HP build. And what that means is that you'll take penalties to your MP and agility gains, but in the later levels, you'll have larger strength and HP gains. Hopefully, you'll have larger gains. Sometimes those large gains may not happen until you get a little further on, closer to 20 in the 18-19 range, which of course is a lot of experience in order to get to there. As this is the normal settings, but with fast leveling, so you do get a little bit of an experience boost, but even so, the vanilla experience required for level 18, for example, is 19,000, so you get a little bit of a break here at only 14,250, but that's still a ton of experience to have to grind away if your stats aren't quite what you need when it comes to taking out Dragon Lord 1 and 2.
And we have a question in chat if this is the Chaos Edition. No, this is a standard race, as you will be seeing a standard randomized race, as you'll be seeing in the tournament coming up later this summer. The chaos that we had over the course of the later part of the winter, we're for the most part past that. Occasionally, some of the folks in the community will run a chaos race because they're masochistic like that. But otherwise, Chaos Mode has even more things randomized, including the enemy hit points and strength and agility and experience and gold that they give, and the weapon and armor prices are randomized. But we don't have to worry about that in this particular seat. And yes, my partner Ryu being one of those self-professed masochistic individuals.
What can I say? I enjoy the punishment that chaos can bring.
But things certainly are chaotic in their own way, shape, and form with how things are randomized, and we'll see how that goes as we're, I believe, moments from getting things going here, as it looks as though we have 10 runners here, and we are just getting things started. The king giving the instructions, and we will see what the first 3 treasure chests are and how they will help our runners.
Well then, we did get the cursed belt that I was looking for there, but we also have Erdrick's sword and of course the obligatory magic key, and we also get sleep and hurt more to start with. Wow, what a start!
Oh, this is going to be a very offensive type seed, that's for sure. The fairy water, Erdrick's sword, and magic key getting things started. So already the best weapon in the game immediately acquired, and as you see, Game Boy going after a Poltergeist, meanwhile Mr. Holmes going after a Warlock, and the Warlock winning, but Game Boy immediately going up almost 2 levels, and wow, 14 response speed and 10 magic points, plus another spell to get things started.
Yeah, not too much on the attack power there, but the agility and the magic points will definitely come in handy. Agility does, of course, affect your defense and your ability to run from some of these tougher enemies, such as the wizard, which will take Tilla down and send him back to the castle.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes jumping from level 1 to level 3 right off the bat, and Game Boy F9 going to 3, and now he's got a heal spell at level 3. And Sparkover, meanwhile, going to go up to level 3 as well, with a nice 14 power boost to come with it. Spells, 25 response speed for Mr. Holmes as he gets to level 4. Meanwhile, Game Boy F9 finding the town of Cantlin, as well as the Staff of Rain Cave, also known as the Shrine Cave among the runners. And as we mentioned, this is a very offensive seed. Already Mr. Holmes up to level 5, and we're not even 2 minutes into this race.
Oh yeah, we're starting with Erdrick's Sword, the best weapon for physical damage in the game, and Hurt More, the best spell for magic damage in the game. We are more than likely going to see a lot of levels come in rather quickly, as they will be to take on some of those tougher enemies. As we saw, Game Boy took out a Druid Lord with that Hurt More. But man, that's a rough looking area around Cantlin. There's a ton of swamp there. They do have heal early on, so they'll be able to heal some of that damage from walking through the swamp, but that is still rough.
It is, as Mr. Holmes tries to get away from a wizard. A little tough for him at this point, and not able to run away and has to go back to the castle. Meanwhile, a Wraith taking out Sparkover. And Tilo donning the Scale of the Dragon. That will give an additional 2 defense points, as Game Boy F9 now goes up to level 5. A werewolf a bit much for Mr. Holmes, although he certainly can understand his wanting to be aggressive, having the Hurt More spell. It just didn't quite fall for him in this case. And Game Boy F9 is going to go up to level 6.
And he does get a new spell, but doesn't check it as he runs into a Metal Slime. Metal Slime is, of course, being one of the 3 enemies which will give you 255 experience should you be able to take it down. I think at this point he is definitely too high in strength to be, as it runs away there. So for those who aren't unfamiliar with it, the Metal Slimes actually will not run away so long as your strength is, I believe, under 20. They will actually stay there and allow you to take them down. But at this point, his strength is definitely way more than 20.
Yeah, at one point there was an attack boost or a power boost of 14 among those first few levels, as now Tilo going up to level 5.
And we have our second town of the game being found by Mr. Holmes, your favorite town, in fact.
Of course, Breckenary, also known affectionately by me as Six Town, because the inn, it is the least expensive of the bunch, as it only costs 6 gold to stay at the inn to recover your hit points and magic points. Mr. Holmes purchasing leather armor.
We do see there is also some magic armor that can be purchased there as well.
Yeah, a little too rich for their blood at this point.
Oh, and there's our silver shield, along with a large shield and a small shield, hiding in Cantlin. So all of the shields abound in Cantlin.
And we saw that, I believe that was Warlocks had Heal More on Mr. Holmes' screen.
Oh yes, that's another
up that small shield.
That's another aspect that we forgot to mention there is while the enemy stats are not shuffled, their abilities are shuffled. So you may see slimes, scorpions, some of your lower level monsters who will have things like Hurt More, or even Dragon Lord's Breath. And then you'll see some of the more tougher enemies, like maybe the Axe Knights and Blue Dragons who may have heal and heal more, which just makes it that much more difficult to take down those tougher enemies. As a Golem hitting Game Boy F9 for 44 and showing why Golems are painful.
Among the 3 strongest enemies in the game is the Golem, and we also saw that werewolves have hurt more.
It's always nice when you have hurt more, not so much so when the enemies have it as well.
And as Tramp Royale noting in chat, then there's always the sleep combo, which is jokingly and affectionately known as the Wombo combo, where there's a combination of sleep and either hurt more or sleep and the Dragon Lord breath, which does anywhere between 64 and 72 hit points of damage.
And this bit of an odd terrain we have. We have a small land bridge leading us off to more area, but we've got mountains to the north, swamp to the northwest. And doesn't look like there was much to the south, so seems east is the way to go across a small land bridge.
Alright, and Mr. Holmes has the Dragon Scale and puts that on. Meanwhile, level 7 for Game Boy F9. The spell's coming pretty early, it looks like, here.
And we do have a town. The question is, will this be Remolder, which will allow them to purchase keys and see what, if any, coordinates we have in Cantlin, since that has been found? No, it would be coal.
Well, this gives them that search spot we were talking about, so Game Boy F9 going to head right on over to that spot, look 4 steps south of the Bads, and find Erdrick's armor. Bingo! So that is the best armor in the game and the best sword in the game, and we're just over 7 minutes into this race.
And that is always a nice find, gives you a great boost in defense, makes it so that the swamp tiles and the glass tiles no longer do damage to you, significantly reduces hurt and hurt more damage, and cuts the Dragon Lord breath along with baby breath down by 1/3. Plus you also gain 1 HP per each step you take, and we have 2 more towns, one of which is Remolder.
So all the riches coming Game Boy F9's way early here as Sparkover now gets to level 7. Tilo, meanwhile, is going to stay at the inn in Breckenary. So now with the keys, this gives a few different opportunities. Game Boy F9 can go back to Tanager Castle to check the treasury in the castle, which has 4 treasure chests. He could also, well, he more than likely will head back into Rimeldar here to open the double doors and see what the 1 chest is there. As we await with bated breath to find out what that is.
Ooh, and we have the Stones of Sunlight.
Oh, the Sunlight, an essential item, one of the ones that are needed.
And that is an often overlooked or missed chest as well, because it's 1 chest. So most of the time, if you haven't found Remolder, but you have keys, you kind of forget about that chest.
Yeah, and usually with the excitement of, oh good, I have keys, let me go back to Tanager Castle, it is certainly easily overlooked and has ruined many a runner. And we've got Garenham as well, which also has 3 treasure chests behind a key, as well as another accessible cave or stairway.
And I can say I've also fallen victim to forgetting all about that chest there, and yeah, that has cost you.
Ooh, and Tilo is smashed into 41 pieces by the golem and is sent back to the castle at the cost of half of his gold.
That golem is definitely not playing nice. It looks like we will be having Mr. Holmes and Sparkover heading over in the same direction, so they should be finding Remolder along with Garenham pretty quickly themselves as well.
And we do see Garenham, we have big bucks, an empty chest, and more big bucks. So I believe that was the herb in that empty chest. As our runners, well, they've got to, if they have a maximum of, if they have their maxed out amount of either herbs or magic keys, then the chest will show up as empty. Since he had used a magic key to get into that area, by default it had to have been an herb. And inside the back of Garanham is the Mountain Cave, which has 5 treasure chests, the first of which is some more money.
Well, I could set up a little bit of a grind there if you so chose. That's 3 gold chests now already. But I have a feeling what Game Boy might do here, since he still needs to check Tanajo Castle anyway, and we do see there are Wraith Knights, which will do quite a bit of damage to you this early on, is check the chests and go ahead and take the death back to Tanajo Castle, allowing him to set up what is called the gold glitch, or chest glitch.
And we'll talk more about that in a moment here, as we've got the Dragon Scale and the Magic Key. Pretty much what well, we'll get into that now, why not? As Tilo goes up to level 8. With the treasure chest glitch, pretty much it's taking advantage of something in the game where the game only recognizes up to 8 treasure chests as opened at a particular time, and that is reset once you go to the overworld. So what our runners can do here is open up various chests, die, and go back to the castle without having gone to the overworld, as Game Boy finds more gold in the Mountain Cave. And because they hadn't hit the overworld, those chests remain marked as opened. And the 5th and final chest is a set of wings, which works just like the return spell and will take you back to Tanajo Castle. So once those 8 chests are marked as opened, any more chests than that will just end up sticking in their spot and be able to be taken over and over again. So a lot of our runners will utilize that as Game Boy F9 donning the Scale of the Dragon to take the intentional death, and is going to do just that and go back to the castle. Now, having opened the 3 chests in Garanham, having gone down and opened the 5 chests in the Mountain Cave, plus the 3 chests that are there in the throne room, as that way they don't respawn, he's already up to 11, so all 4 chests here that he opens will remain intact.
And we have the good old Harp Knight. 4 Harp Knights, which we see there was a harp in there. One of them was a silver harp, but no gold pickup. So
harp, torch, and wings.
And unfortunately, no gold, so no gold grinding here, unless there happens to be another cave in the bottom of Tanajo Castle here with gold.
Possibly. Sparkover finds a fighter's ring in the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave.
As does Tilo.
Now, the fighter's ring, once you put it on, that adds an additional 2 attack power to your total.
Well, we do have Erdrick's Tablet Cave here, which will give 1 more chest. If it does happen to be gold, they can actually activate the gold glitch and grind up to 14,800 to purchase a silver shield.
Which in Game Boy F9's case is all that he needs, as he already has the best weapon and the best armor in the game. And the Tablet Cave is empty, and since I believe he used the key to get back there, and I don't think he purchased another one, so I believe that is a magic key in the Tablet Cave.
It looks like may not be seeing a silver shield this time around, but he does have enough that he can go into Cantlin, grab his coordinates, and pick up the large shield that was found there. Large shield does still give 10 defense power. Not quite as good as silver shield, which gives 20, but it's still better than no shield at all.
Now, we should probably talk about, as it was mentioned in chat, the reason that the treasure chest contents had noted were Harp Knight. Pretty much with that glitch, it just essentially takes 2 random words from the entire library, and it just kind of puts them together. Sometimes it's only 1 word. I think one time, thou hast found the red.
Oh, yes, the red. That was a good one. That was the first time we had seen that one. We've seen a few. We've seen the Harp Knight. We've seen the Axe Ghost. Occasionally, you'll actually see Erdrick's sword, and then you have to double check if you don't already have it to see if it actually was the sword. And our coordinates are going to be 35 north, 51 east. Oof. Those are some rough coordinates, considering we have nothing but mountains to our north.
Well, depending on the lay of the land, perhaps heading east and then Well, looks like Game Boy is going to at least give it a try here, but we've got some water lockage.
We may actually have a princess rescue on our hands here. Although nobody has found the swamp cave to have a chance at rescuing the princess. And we see, I believe that was an Arbor Knight over on Sparkover's side that was just taken down.
That most certainly was, and that gets her up to level 10.
So experience-wise, right now, Sparkover is in the lead.
But we'll see, as there's still some exploration to be done on her part, as she still has to find coal. She found a cave. I believe that was the swamp cave that she navigated through.
Yes, I think that actually was Swamp Cave. This early level, probably not too good an idea to try and rescue the princess, as whatever is guarding the princess is most likely going to be a little bit too tough. So I can't say I blame her for not going straight for the princess rescue, even with Caitlin being so close by.
Well, I don't think she's yet found Rimmeldar, so she doesn't have keys to be able to open the locked door that the princess is behind, even if she was able to kill that monster.
Oh, you are correct. She has not, because if she had found Rimmeldar, she would have definitely had Erdrick's armor as well, since it was on the way.
So perhaps her exploration going in a different direction than everybody else, is Tilo now is in Garenham and is going to get those 3 chests. And Tramp Royale noting in chat that, yeah, there were a lot of armored knights down there in the swamp, as they're also affectionately known as the AK-47s, because they're strong enough to hit you like one.
And we do see Game Boy is now in the swamp cave, so we'll see if he actually does go for the princess here. And he is opting to go at least take a peek at what the enemy can be.
As there is a space where an enemy will spawn and respawn every time you step on that particular square. It's what's known as a spike tile, and in this case, it is that armored knight.
Now, the good news about the Armor Knight is 2 Hurt Moors will take it down. So we don't get to actually see too much what the Armor Knight will do, but we do see Sparkover has found the Rainbow Drop Cave, also affectionately known as the Jerk Cave, as if you don't at least have the token, he will kick you out and say that you are not worthy. We also have Mr. Holmes finding Sharlock.
So we know where the boss is, just a matter of getting there.
So definitely getting some really good key pieces of information there on Sparkover and Mr. Holmes' side, as he will need to be able to find the Rainbow Drop Cave in order to get into Sharlock, and then you'll also need to find Sharlock in order to get into the Sharlock, of course.
And Game Boy F9 is going to get his fighter's ring and add 2 more to his attack total.
And meanwhile, we do have Tilo finishing up their mountain cave exploration. Be fairly disappointed to see that there's not much to be found there, but I think once they do go back to the castle, they'll be happy to find the harp at least.
So that means they'll have to double back to Cantlin, as I believe just 1 tile south of Cantlin was the Silver Harp Cave, or the Staff of Rain Cave, where you trade in the Silver Harp.
Correct, which I'm wondering if Game Boy might go ahead and do that, since he is back at the castle, having been taken out by that werewolf.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes getting up to level 10. Thilo's at 9 and is shopping in Garenham.
As you can see, even with the experience lead that Sparkover had, Mr. Holmes, Tilo, and Game Boy F9 not far behind and catching up rather quickly, as a Magiwyvern will send Sparkover back home. And Mr. Holmes has found Garenham's grave. So we see there is some gold. There is another cursed belt, so it's our second cursed belt of the game now, and a magic key to be found.
And that is 3 of 5 treasure chests that are in Garen's grave, as the other two are behind a locked door, and you have to do a little digging deep to get to them.
All right, at this point, however, with having seen the treasury in Tantagel, the back of Garenham, Mountain Cave, and Rimmeldar, and still having the token to search for, wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and dig out those last two chests to see if they happen to actually be Erdrick's token, as that can also appear in a chest along with the fairy flute.
And we know that Erdrick's armor is in coal, so fairy flute and the token are the two searchable items that may or may not be in a searchable spot.
And with having found Erdrick's armor, and for those who have actually checked the coordinates in Cantlin, they know that there is at least a coordinate item which could be either the flute or the token, leaving Hawksnest empty should the token or flute be in a chest.
And Sparkover now has Erdrick's armor. So Mr. Holmes now on the next level of Garen's grave, and just moments away from finding the fourth of 5 chests down there.
And it does appear Game Boy F9 was at least attempting a count again, as he was moving a bit slowly and then stopping here and there. Not sure if he's still trying to count, since he does know where the princess is.
We find the torch is...
That does only leave one more chest, which is going to be buried deep in
Game Boy
Garen's grave.
F9 got a metal one level.
And Mr. Holmes is making his way to that final chest that is hiding in Garenham's grave, which is the Vanilla Silver Harp chest. But as we've already found the Silver Harp, we know it won't definitely be that. Or rather, I should say, it definitely won't be that.
And we see here that it is another torch.
So that means, by elimination, as we have seen, I believe, every chest available in the overworld, that we should have an item to be found in the search bar in Hawksnest, along with an item on the coordinate spot in the overworld, unless the search spot's the token, and the flute actually can be in one of the chests in Sharlock, which would then leave Hawksnest empty.
So that most of the possibilities have been eliminated, but not all of them. We haven't narrowed it down to the one as of yet.
Which, after having seen those coordinates that we have, I would imagine that Game Boy, as I believe he's the only one who has seen the coordinates now, would be hoping to find Hawksnest to get that free information of, do I actually need to go for these coordinates? And he is doing some searching, so he does seem to have done some counting here. Meanwhile, Sparkover has made their way into Garenham and will be heading into the mountain cave to get their 5 treasure chests, and most likely will soon be going back to Tantagel to check the treasury there as well.
So Game Boy's searching around at the moment, and he finds Erdrick's token.
Wow, it took him a little bit. He, seems he lost his count just a little, off by maybe 1 or 2. But that is definitely a great bonus to him being able to count that out, being that the coordinates didn't allow you to go north at all at first. You had to go south first, then travel east and keep that south count in your head, or written down on a piece of paper, or in the lovely tracker made by Captain Uhu, which does also have a counter for your coordinates as well. So he will not have to spend time rescuing the princess, bringing her back to the castle, and then traveling to go look for that token. That also means that he does not have to worry about Hawksness at this point, since he knows that the only other item left would be the Fairy Flute.
Indeed, and Game Boy F9 getting to level 11 moments ago, and that is a level that Empty Eye would enjoy. 0 power, 4 response speed, 1 hit point, and 1 magic point. Oof.
It looks like some stats were fairly nice early on, but as we're getting into some of these more mid-levels, not so nice. So we may be actually having to see it grind here, which could leave Hawksness still being a potential good location to find. But as Swamp does hold an Axe Knight that is relatively easy to kill for 172 experience, we may not actually need to see what is in Hawksness.
As now level 11 for Sparkover and Healmore in the mix, so I think all but the Repel spell has been learned here by level 11.
So, as noted in chat, there's still some exploration that needs to be done. That is quite correct, as I believe Sparkover is the only one to have found the Rainbow Drop Cave. And I believe that is most likely what Game Boy is still looking for, along with killing enemies along the way to keep gaining experience to get those levels that will be required as well.
Well, you would think he would want to make his way back over toward Cantlin to trade in the harp for the Staff of Rain, so that way when he finds that cave, he's able to just trade it in, get the Rainbow Drop, and then figure out where to grind to get up to the appropriate level to take out the Dragon Lord.
Well, that certainly would be my course of action as well, especially as he found the harp in the treasury, and the silver harp, or the Staff of Rain shrine, was just a little ways away. Definitely be something we can find out his thoughts on in after the race during the interview.
Well, it could be possible also, since we're staring at 4 different screens here, that we may have missed his trading in, but I don't know for certain. If he opens up his item menu, I'll try to catch a glimpse of it. And Wolf's with the Healmore spell, and Mr. Holmes nopes out of that real quick.
Yeah, typically Wolves not too troublesome to take down, but with Healmore, just makes it more of a pain. And we do see he is now actually heading into trade in that silver harp for the Staff of Rain. So once he does find the Rainbow Drop Cave, he'll just be able to acquire it, and then go off to wherever he decides he wants to grind at.
So either he heard me, or my stream is just a little bit behind. I don't know which. Or neither.
Good vibes, good vibes.
And level 12 with a 20 hit point gain, as we see on the home side.
Those 20 hit points will definitely help, as seems they are a little bit low at level 12 for as far as HP goes, only having a max of 49. And we do see that Sparkover does actually choose to go ahead and trade in the Silver Harp for the Staff of Rain. She does know where the Rainbow Drop Cave is, but has not acquired the token yet, but I'm imagining she'll be heading right into Cantlin to check those coordinates now as well.
And Game Boy finds Breckenary and leaves immediately and disappoints me. Well, disheartens me. Maybe not disappoints, but disheartens me.
Sadly, no love for Breckenary, not unless it's the only place that has a silver shield in it, and you can acquire the gold to get it. And we do see that Tilla has actually rescued the princess.
Wanting to get those coordinates, I would imagine. Using the GPS, the Whalen positioning system.
And we see Sparkover is going to go ahead and attempt the count as well.
Now, there's different benefits and losses as far as or pros and cons as far as the strategy of whether or not to rescue the princess. And Lavkian, thank you for joining us here. Yes, the Erdrick sword was in the throne room, and they also started off with Hurtmore, which is why we're a half hour into this seed, and there's a lot certainly being learned, and Mr. Holmes also rescuing the princess.
And giving her a tour of the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, also known as the Bonus Cave, as it is a free treasure chest. And looks like we'll be seeing Sparkover abandon the Count, having seen the large body of water, and will be going ahead and rescuing the princess as well. Meanwhile, we do have Tilla turning in their silver harp for the Staff of Rain now, and as they did rescue the princess, I believe they'll be going ahead and checking the coordinates, and then going and searching out those coordinates. And free sub-hour seed, says Lavkin in the chat. Not necessarily. We've not been seeing any extraordinary stats so far on these levels. We did start off with some nice stats, along with the level 12 holding 20 more HP, but as you can see, we're only at 69 max right now for level 12, so there could still be a grind ahead, especially with that low MP count right now as well.
Yeah, finding the things were certainly close to free and considerably easy, but getting the levels and finding a grind spot to be able to take out the Dragon Lord, that is where we may see the plus hour seed here. I don't think it's going to be that free. You're going to probably be stuck with us a little longer than you'd like. Well, you're stuck with me more than a minute, then you're stuck with it longer than you'd probably like, but that's a whole other story.
And we see there is golems hiding in the Hawksness boss spot, as Game Boy is the first one to find Hawksness. Sparkover does return the princess, while Mr. Holmes is giving the princess a tour of the treasury and picks up their silver harp as well.
So, best case scenario for Game Boy is, I don't know, I guess it's kind of the evil of two lessers in this case, as he'll either find nothing or he'll find the fairy flute, which would have made it much easier to take out the golem.
And we do have that fairy's flute. Now, the one item we have not seen is the death necklace. So, since we've seen every single treasure chest that is in the overworld, that means the death necklace is actually hiding in the treasures that are in Sharlock. For those who are unfamiliar with the death necklace, in the vanilla game, it does absolutely nothing except for curse you and causes the king to say, "You are cursed, get out of my castle." But in Randomizer, it does have a little bit of a benefit. At the cost of 25% of your HP, since it is cursed, it will give you an extra 10 attack power.
And now Game Boy F9 looking to utilize said fairy flute and perhaps get a grind on the golem.
Now, they are worth a hefty amount of experience if you can get a grind going successfully on them. They do punch for quite a bit, though, so it is a bit of a rough grind.
But I think he's just going to take it here. Well, he's going to get an excellent move, and it's still not enough to take out the golem. And that's going to send him back to Tantagel Castle. But he's only... I guess I can see why he was going for it. He was essentially one golem away from hitting level 13.
That's always a rough one when you see the excellent move, also known as the Kaishin no Ichigeki, and it just doesn't do enough. Golems unfortunately have a little over 100 health, so a 97, yeah, just not enough.
Yeah, it looks like they have actually a pretty wide range, as golems can have as little as 115 hit points and as many as 153.
Yeah, they're not made of rock for nothing. Stonemen, thankfully, a little less painful and significantly less experience for it. And then, of course, the Goldmen, being made of gold, you would think they'd be a little tougher, but not really. They are fairly easy to take out and only give you 6 experience, but they do give you the max gold of 255. If you need a gold grind and you can find Goldmen somewhere rather reliably, it does make it a little easier to take down. We see
a question in chat. Oh, so you're probably thinking the same thing I was here. To answer DJ Weeze's question in chat, there is a tournament coming up, the annual tournament here of the standard Dragon Warrior Randomizer. That's going to be coming up starting in late July. As Game Boy F9 getting up to level 13. Meanwhile, level 12 for Sparkover, and there's that 20 hit point boost. I'm sure she's looking forward to that. And thank you to the Tie-Dye Guy for throwing the link up to the tournament at dq.challenge.com/DWR2018. You can check that out. The Tie-Dye Guy, he is our restreamer for the evening. Also want to thank Melee Wizard, who is doing the tracking for us. Very difficult to pay attention to 4 screens.
And it does look like Game Boy has opted to go with the Axe Knight grind, or rather the Armor Knight grind, sorry. Both are AKs. That is in the Swamp tile.
Yep, a couple of castings hurt more, and that takes out the Armored Knight for 172 experience apiece. Now, Game Boy F9 at this point, to get to level 14, he needs a target number of 5,625, and at the moment, he's about 775 away.
And we do see at level 12, Max looked like 69 HP. And I didn't quite catch the MP, but it was also in the 60s. So still quite a ways to go before 66 MP. So quite a ways to go before they will have enough to take on the Dragon Lord, at least HP and MP wise. Haven't had a chance to see the attack power stat yet.
Well, level 13 is certainly unlucky in terms of stat gains, as I saw on Mr. Holmes' screen. This is close to a true MTI level, as it was 1 power, 1 response speed, 0 hit points, and 1 magic point. MTI loves it.
Yeah, those good old MTI levels, not fun for the runner, but always fun for us viewers.
In a sadistic sort of way.
Oh, well, we love to see people suffer in the randomizers. It's just not so much fun when you're the one doing the suffering. The good news is level 88 is not possible in this game, as the max level is level 30. And that maxes out at a total of, I haven't thought of this in a while, 65,356?
Well, in the vanilla game, it's 65,535, but one
535, that's what it was.
Yeah, one of the flags that are in this is the fast experience gains, so that way we don't have to watch a guaranteed slog through a grind here, so it's actually at 75% of what that normal max would be. So if for some reason they had to get up to level 30, it would be the slightly lower number of 49,151.
Certainly a lot better a number to look at than 65, as that's a nice 16,000 experience break there.
And another 0 hit point gain at level 14.
Oof. We are definitely looking at some serious grind at these next couple of levels here. Do not yield at least 30 HP to make the Dragon Lord Breath attack survivable, as you do need a minimum of 97 to survive 2 of the full-powered Dragon Lord Breath hits of 48, as they will hit for 42, 44, 46, or 48. So in order to survive 2 of those 48s, you need 97 to still have 1 HP left over.
Ooh, as Tilo taking a death and is back in the castle. Sparkover, meanwhile, navigating around. Looks like she did acquire the token, and is now, I guess, heading back to the Rainbow Drop Cave.
Well, that's definitely a good idea on her part. She'll be able to have the Rainbow Drop and will not have to go and search, can just sit and focus on grinding, which is currently what Game Boy F9 is doing. I don't believe he's found the drop cave, though. So he's going to go for the grind first, and then just search out the cave and possibly rest at an inn and head directly to Charlock. Now, the reason why I say hopefully within the next couple of levels, we will see a large HP gain is while level 15 is only about 1900 experience away, after level 15, each subsequent level will be 2250 experience away, and that is quite a bit to grind upon depending on what it is you're fighting against. If you're fighting against golems or red dragons, or if you can find metal slimes, which give the max at 255, it's not as bad, as I believe 9 of those will get you a level. But when you're grinding on something that only gives 172, such as the Axe Knights, it's going to take quite a bit more for each of those levels.
You're looking at just over 13 Armored Knights to go from one level to the next, in this case from 14 to 15, or actually, I'm sorry, from 15 to 16, 16 to 17, or, all the way up through 19. Then starting at level 19, it's every 3,000 experience. Mr. Holmes now in Hawksness and is about to fight the Golem, which is the Guardian there. We know that it is guarding the Fairy Flute. He was hoping to... although he doesn't know that, he's hoping that it has the token, but upon taking out this Golem, he will realize that he's going to have to make that trek and use the GPS to find the token in the overworld spot.
And Game Boy F9 has found his Rainbow Drop now. So he, along with Sparkover and Tilo, who have every item necessary in order to complete the game, can now start their grind 4 levels to get these stats required to be able to take on the Dragon Lord. So they are essentially in go mode aside from levels.
Yeah, so they're in grind and go mode.
Feels grind, man.
And DJ Wee's noting, wow, what a spot for the Jerk Cave, and that is very accurate. It is certainly out of the way, as Game Boy going to head back into the Swamp Cave and going to do some more Armored Knight spike tile hunting.
Yeah, between that and the Golem, I'd have to agree with going with the Armored Knights. A little bit more tolerable to deal with than the heavy punching Golems. Although, interesting enough, we have not, as far as I can tell, we have not seen any blue dragons, red dragons, or green dragons so far in the overworld or in the caves.
Which means they're probably all hiding out in Charlotte Castle.
That also means that as far as the blue and red dragons, along with the green dragons go, we won't have any idea what is in store for our runners until they run into them in Charlock, if that is indeed where all of them are hiding. And I know we've seen Magic Wyverns, but I don't think we've seen any of the Star Wyverns either, which are typically found in Charlock.
So while we've had some tough enemies on the overworld, a lot of the tougher enemies have remained hidden, for lack of a better term. As Game Boy F9 up to the quad 6 experience total.
And we see Mr. Holmes will be picking up their staff array now. So here's a little bit of thought to go on. We've seen a few enemies with Hurt More, we've seen a few with Heal More. I haven't seen any Dragon Lord Breath yet. And some of those remaining enemies that have yet to be seen could definitely have it. That would make for a really interesting Charlock dive if you're having to dodge Dragon Lord Breath every couple of enemies that you run into.
And if that's the case, well, send your hate over to Lavkian, as he was the one that... No, the free sub-hour seat, no, that's... There's no such thing as free.
Seeing as how we just reached the 45-minute mark, and we're currently at level 14, and at least 3 of our runners are in grind mode, and Mr. Holmes not far behind as he is getting his coordinates, will be going to pick up his token, and I believe he has seen the jerk case, so won't be far behind on picking that up as well. We will see all 4 runners in grind mode, and as it stands right now, it's a bit of a rough grind. I mean, 69 HP, 78 MP at the max for level 14 right now. We haven't seen a attack power defense stat check yet. But with that low HP, you can't take too many hits before you need to use a heal more. And with those heal mores costing 8 apiece, you don't have too many of those to go around either, as currently they only have enough for 9 at level 14.
So low hit points and low magic points means we might be seeing a little bit of a grind for a while.
Indeed, and that doesn't even include the unknown attack power stat that we haven't seen a check on yet. We haven't really seen any large attack power gains either.
Not in a while. I mean, they did come pretty early on, as Sparkover is going to use the Rainbow Drop and is perhaps going to see if there's a grindable enemy or few in Charlotte Castle.
Well, we did see a nice speed and HP gain off of that level 15, but only 1 attack power. And if they are lacking attack power, that is going to be a bit rough, as we find green dragons are indeed hiding in Charlock.
And Mr. Holmes picked up the token.
Oh, and a quick cast to repel while he makes his way over to the Rainbow Drop Cave.
Yeah, for those just joining us, it was a pretty early seed as far as getting some experience, as Erdrick's sword was in the throne room and our runners started off with the Hurtmore spell. Also, the Silver Harp was in the treasury. It wasn't too terribly long for our runners to find Rimmildar to be able to get the keys. The Stones of Sunlight were in Rimmildar. And Erdrick's token was in the overworld, as just picked up by Mr. Holmes. It was from the castle 35 paces north and 51 paces east.
And then, of course, we also had Erdrick's armor, which was located in Cole. So overall, finding the necessary items such as the armor, the Silver Harp, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's token did not take long at all. And while Erdrick's sword's not necessary, it's most often needed, as it does have quite a bit of an attack power boost over the best weapon you can purchase with money. That, of course, would be the Flame Sword, which does give you 28 attack power. But then you also have Erdrick's Sword, which gives you 40, so an extra 12 attack power, which can definitely mean the difference between one more level and being ready to just go and face the Dragon Lord.
And we have found the Red Dragons, Sparkover has, affectionately known as the Fun Police. And, wow, they just made a quick citizen's arrest on Sparkover.
Yep, Fun Police doing their job and policing Sparkover's fun of searching Charlock. So far, definitely a nasty-looking Charlock, as we have green dragons and red dragons. Red dragons, of course, deal quite a bit more damage than the green dragons do. No sign of dragon breath yet, though.
Yep, the hardest hitting enemy outside of the second form of Dragon Lord, as the Red Dragons have a strength of 120. They share that with the Golem as the 2 strongest non-Dragon Lord enemies in the game.
And well worth it, as they do give you the most experience in the game, which is 255, along with the less hard-hitting Metal Slimes, but of course Metal Slimes are quick to run away.
Well, the added challenge to the Red Dragons is they are among the enemies with the highest agility as well, with 90 agility. The only Again, the only non-Dragon Lord enemy that has more is the aforementioned Metal Slimes with 255. But they don't pack nearly the punch that the Red Dragon does.
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, Metal Slimes will either fail or deal 1 damage to you. But until you reach a certain attack power, that is exactly what you will do to the Metal Slimes as well. As you will either fail to hit them, they will dodge, or you will only be able to deal 1, unless, of course, you get an excellent move, which will deal enough damage to kill them, as they only have 3 health. And then you will be rewarded with a nice 255 experience.
So Game Boy is doing some more Armored Knight hunting, and I think Sparkover has joined him.
And we have Tilla now taking a look into Sharlock to see what it has in store for them as well.
And Sparkover finding out the 2, 7, 0, and 11 gains for level 14. So the target number to get to level 16 for Game Boy is going to be 9750. And for Mr. Holmes and Sparkover, they are looking at a target number for level 15 of 7,500 experience. And yes, the excellent move, even more simply known as a critical hit or crit. Yes, there are some who have fun with the Japanese version of the expression, but some also have the preference of just simply excellent move or crit, as opposed to the Kaishin no Ichigeki.
It's just so much fun to say.
Yeah, it is something to kind of go along with, but... And there's Lavkian throwing a few of them out there. Get that base... Oh, someone get that... A Kaishin no Ichigeki. There we go. I was working more on the emphasizing the pronunciation more so than the emphasis on the guttural yelling of it.
And it looks like Mr. Holmes is now joining Sparkover and Game Boy F9 in the Axe Knight grind as well.
Although a Golem into the mix, and that's gonna leave Game Boy a little short. Okay, 9750, so about 285 experience to go. So that'll be 2 more Armored Knights. Meanwhile, Tilo going with a grind on the first floor of Sharlock, interestingly enough.
It can be a viable grind. I've done it myself before when the Swamp or Hawksness tiles were either too far away to make it an effective grind location, or the enemies in place were less than fun to deal with. As we see, Game Boy F9 does get himself a Metal Slime and will have level 60 now. No attack power, 6 speed, 2 HP, but a whopping 20 MP there.
And Chad having fun comparing, since I mentioned critical hit, now there's a few Dungeons and Dragons references that I get most of, but not all of.
Those good old nat 20s.
Epimeth noting in chat, next time I crit playing Dungeons and Dragons, I'll yell, Kaishin no Ichigeki!
Yeah, I may just have to do that one myself as well. Unfortunately, most of the people may not get the reference, but that's okay.
And Melee Wizards noting that enemies can dodge those, in which case it would be more of a Kaishin Nigeta.
Yes, the good old Kaishin Negeta, or
dodge.
In D&D terms, a 1. Critical fail.
That being said, Tilo opting out of Charlotte Castle, going to head back and heal up in Garenham.
Meanwhile, we have Game Boy heading back into the Axe Knight grind, or sorry, the Armor Knight grind. Those AKs, getting them mixed up. And Sparkover taking a heal at the nearby Cole, as is Mr. Holmes, before going back into the Armor Knight grind.
And Melee Wizard noting in chat that Mr. Holmes seems to be gold grinding the hard way, as he's up to 11,000 plus. I guess he's in his fighting and grinding enemies is trying to get up enough gold to perhaps purchase a silver shield. And given how low the hit points and magic points have been, perhaps that additional 10 defense could make the difference in this race.
That is true, as noted by our restreamer. With such low HP, a silver shield might save you a few levels. If you do end up having a less than desirable HP level, more defense does mean that the Dragon Lord's physical hits will do less damage to you, giving you the ability to possibly get in more than one hit, also known as a double hit, which is getting 2 hits before you have to use a heal more. And with all the speed gains we've been seeing, I would have to imagine the agility along with the defense stats in this seed are fairly high.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to really see much of those, as our racers are quicker than a hiccup when it comes to checking the statistics and looking at the numbers. So we can get kind of a general idea, but we're not completely certain where they're at in terms of strength and agility.
And I imagine if we do happen to see a fairly large strength gain on level 17, definitely keep an eye on Game Boy's screen to see what he does have for his stats, as he will most likely check the status and see if that large strength gain is enough to put him over what he needs.
Well, he's got a little ways to go, as he just crossed 11,000 experience. 12,000 is the target number, but he is out of resources and is going to take a death and replenish his hit points and magic points.
And this will give us at least a good look at the what level 16 has, which 87 on the max HP and 104 MP. So MP count at 104 is pretty much ideal. That will be a total of, I believe, 13 heal mores, but still under what's necessary on the HP stat.
So level 17 is guaranteed, possibly even level 18. But we'll find out once Game Boy gets to 17 in roughly 913 experience from now.
Yeah, being at 87 HP, that does put him 10 below what is desired to have a good chance of surviving against the Dragon Lord, as 87 wouldn't even guarantee you a 50% chance of surviving. You would actually only have a 25% chance of surviving, as only 242 rolls of Dragon Lord Breath would leave you alive, whereas 244s, 246s, or 248s would send you right back to the castle.
And now here at the 59-minute mark, Mr. Holmes has gotten the rainbow drop.
So all of our runners, aside from the grind, are in go mode at this point, which all of our runners have already been doing grinding, including Mr. Holmes.
And the other runners not featured on stream, there are 10 racers, although 4 of them are featured on stream. The others not featured, we have Tristal, we have JJ Schmidt77, Jay Coper, Silverfire, Up to NG, and Kababesh. If any of them placed first among the way here, we will certainly give you the updates as they go along. But definitely among our forerunners here, Game Boy F9 has that lead.
And as we have just now hit the hour mark, there goes that free sub-hour that we were looking for. So even with starting out with all of the best items in the game very early on, sometimes that grind just gets the better of you.
The game knows. Just when you think you have the answer, it goes and changes the question and says, "No, you didn't think it'd be that easy, did you?"
I can say I've been privy to that recently myself, as we do see level 17 coming in here, and 9 power, 12 speed, 1 HP. Oh no, that is only going to put Game Boy F9 at 88 max HP, so we are going to at least see level 18 now.
He didn't even bother to check the statistics because he knows that he does not have the desired hit points. So it looks like we are going to level 18 and an experience total of 14,250.
As we see, Mr. Holmes is in Charlock currently. He is now our third runner to have entered Charlock as far as our featured runners. Now, while it is highly improbable, if your strength stat is high enough, you do have a chance of going up against the Dragon Lord at this level. Chances of surviving it, but it is possible.
So 111 MP at level 17, just 1 MP shy of another heal more. So still 13 heal mores with that low HP total.
And unless we see a 0 MP gain at level 18, that will give them 14 heal mores. 14 heal mores would then give them at least 15 attacks against Dragon Lord 2, which would be more than enough if they have the generally desired attack power of 130, giving them the ability to deal from anywhere from 7 to 15 damage to the Dragon Lord, or rather the Dragon Lord 2.
So we have a couple of grinds going in Charlock, or at least Philotilo grinding on the first level. Mr. Holmes going to be heading down to get a little information and experience, literally and figuratively.
He may be looking to reach the boss tile that is just before the Dragon Lord here in Charlock to see what that tile has, as if it's a blue dragon that's relatively easy to take down, or an Axe Knight would definitely be a faster grind than the Armored Knights or Golems that we've seen so far for these spike tiles. Mind you, that is if he can keep his HP and MP on the way down there, as Axe Knights and Red Dragons, which, oh wow, Red Dragons with heal more, that's just wrong. They have such a high amount of HP, it takes a few hits to take them down, and once you get close, it just says no.
In the words of Cleveland from Family Guy, oh, that's nasty.
Heal more, definitely one of the worst things you can see on some of the late game enemies. Not quite as bad as Dragon Lord Breath, but still very undesirable.
Yeah, that's right up there. I mean, a Dragon Lord Breath and Heal More combo, that's not good. Dragon Lord Breath and Sleep and Heal More. Take your pick. There's just lots of undesirable stuff that can be thrown into the mix.
Oh, for sure. Hurt more early on can be painful, but at least once you have Erdrick's armor, the Hurt More combos and the Baby Breath combos, not so much terrible to deal with anymore, as you generally have a fair enough amount of HP to where it won't really upset you. But Dragon Lord Breath and Sleep, or Heal More and Dragon Lord Breath, or any of those combinations, not fun. And we still have quite a few floors left of Charlock to explore. We've only seen the top floor, so there could be even more nasties awaiting us further down below.
Sparkover did get early on a couple of floors into Sharlock, and I believe was stopped by a red dragon on the second basement and said, nah, I think we need to get some more levels.
Now it looks like Tilla abandoning the Sharlock grind and will be joining Sparkover and Game Boy in the Arbor Knight Swamp grind.
Meanwhile, level 16 for Mr. Holmes.
And level 18 would actually just be one Metal Slime away, should Game Boy F9 be able to take this Metal Slime down.
Well, based on the attack, we know that he's not quite at 128 yet.
Wow, this Metal Slime's being a trooper. It's sticking around. Usually you don't get that many chances against a Metal Slime. Oh, and the Metal Slime staying for quite a bit of time there, and he does get it down, so we'll see what it has. Oh no, that's horrible. 8 HP puts him 1 away from the 97 HP threshold and no attack power gain on that level. So it looks like we're going to level 19. Get your popcorn out, guys. Y'all might need it.
All right, thanks to the magic of pausing, I was able to see the ever-brief scanning here, so it looks like we have at level 18 a strength of 82, an agility of 112, an attack power of 124, and a defense of 96.
Wow, that is definitely a great defense, a great agility. Attack power is not too bad, but it is definitely still lacking just a little bit. And of course, with being a little lacking on the HP, I think we're going to have to see level 19. But I believe level 19, with the stats they have, so long as they don't get another 0 strength gain, should pretty much do it. It might actually be the big strength gain. We might see a nice 15-20 strength gain, and then they'll have more than enough to take out the Dragon Lord.
So now to get to level 19, 16,500 is the experience number that Game Boy is looking for. Meanwhile, our other 3 featured runners are all at level 16, looking to get to 17 at the target number of 12,000.
You can see that Sparkover is just a little bit ahead of Mr. Holmes, only by about 299 experience, if my math is serving me correctly there.
That's close enough for government work.
And Tilla not far behind either, only trailing, looks to be about 1,400 behind Mr. Holmes, and about 1,700 behind Sparkover.
So Game Boy out to a huge experience lead among our featured runners.
Which doesn't mean that he has it in the bag yet, as depending on what his stat gains are on this next level, the Dragon Lord could still give him some trouble and still send him packing back home. With the amount of MP that he has available, if he does get just a little bit more attack power and a little more HP, he may just go ahead and go for it, but may not be guaranteed to take out the Dragon Lord, depending on what that attack power gain is. Currently with 124, that is most definitely not going to be enough to do it, as that would only get you between 6 and 12 damage at the most. Even with 15 Healmores hitting at 12 each time, if you're lucky enough for it, it's definitely not desirable.
We should get into, because I know we haven't really talked about it much yet, once they get to the Dragon Lord and defeat his first form, it's that second form that is the problematic nature, as the vanilla version of the game has 130 hit points. Here in the randomizer, it can have anywhere between 150 and 165 hit points. So generally our runners tend to calculate, presuming the maximum 165. So even if at the current attack that Game Boy F9 has, if, let's say, he was able to max roll each time and get 12, you're looking at you're looking at 14 attacks. If you go the average of that and go 9 hit points per, then you're looking at 19 attacks, and if you only have enough Healmores for 14 castings of it, you can do the math. It's not going to be enough.
And a question in chat from our tracker. I have not actually seen Sparkover purchase any other shields yet, so I'm not positive on that one. We do see that Mr. Holmes is actually at enough gold to purchase that silver shield now. Hopefully he can do so before the Stone Man takes him out and sends him back to the castle with half his gold, as that would just be a tragedy. But for those of you who are wondering, how do we get this damage calculation that we keep talking about for the Dragon Lord 2 fight? The way that calculation works is you take your attack power and you chop 100 off the top, so that what remains in Game Boy F9's case would be 24. You then divide that by 2, and that will be your maximum damage, and then divide by 2 again, and that will be your minimum damage, which is how we get the 6 to 12 damage calculation for that. Who knew? Early 8-bit games teaching us math. And I do see Game Boy F9 did get level 19. I actually missed seeing what those stats were, though. But as he did go up to Rimildar to heal, he may actually be at enough. And HP-wise, certainly so. MP-wise, wow, 121. That is going to be enough for, I believe, 15 Healmores.
That is correct.
We do know that he was at 124 on his attack power, so whatever his attack power gain on level 19 was, add that to 124, and that will give us our total. And chat noting that he is at 133 attack power. That is at the desirable amount, as you generally want a minimum of 130. So with 133 attack power, you're going to be looking at 16 for the max and 8 for the minimum, I believe.
That is correct, in the 8 to 16 range.
So you're looking at an average of 12 with having 15 Healmores. That average of 12 will definitely be more than enough to take down the Dragon Lord 2. Also, with such high defense, could even at his current HP levels have a good possibility of seeing some of those double hits being done as well.
Certainly a greater chance of it.
And Arbor Knight's just not letting Game Boy run away here.
He's gonna
even
have
with such high agility. Yeah, even with such high agility, those Armor Knights are still just saying no. And then the next one he runs into is a little more friendlier. Meanwhile, a Stone Man giving Mr. Holmes some trouble over here. as Mr. Holmes looks to be actually taking the dive into Sherlock at only 17.
He is going to roll the dice with it, or at least maybe get that information and exploration. As for all we know, the spike tile right before the boss could be enough.
This is true. He might be going for the old fight your way down strategy, especially if you're thinking you're only one level away. You can fight the enemies on the way down, gain that last level that you may need, and then you're already right there at the Dragon Lord, ready to fight. Unfortunately, we know that level 18 was a little lackluster, so the risk he's taking, it is a good risk, but most likely will not pay off.
And again, thanks to the magic of pausing, I was able to see. So it looks like there was a gain from level 18 to 19 of 9 attack and 1 response speed. So the defense is still the same for Game Boy at 96, but the attack power 133.
And that was definitely the attack power gain he was looking for, along with the hefty amount of HP he gained in the last 2 levels. As he went from being only at 88 up to 103 now.
And our restreamer noting that Sparkover did get a large shield, so we're going to go ahead and update that. Meanwhile, Game Boy is on the bottom basement of Sherlock, not bothering with the pyramid treasury there.
Seeing as how all the chests that we saw so far, the only thing most likely to be found in there would be probably some magic keys, the death necklace, and maybe some other miscellaneous items such as some gold and herbs.
And given that at this point the hit points are hard to come by, so we see an Axe Knight. Oh, and an Axe Knight and a spike tile. Just before the boss, this would be a perfect grind spot should they be able to make it down there, but Game Boy just going to go beyond it and try to take on the Dragon Lord here at level 19.
Yeah, the Axe Knight, while only giving 130, as you can see, Game Boy F9 easily able to dispatch of it, would have definitely been a more favorable grind.
And here we are, we're at Dragon Lord 1.
Wow, and with that defense, Dragon Lord 1 dealing 2 damage with that physical hit.
Well, with the defense of 96, he had damage broken Dragon Lord 1, and here we go. So we're starting off with a 12.
And 15 will get us up to 27 now. So starting out with some nice high damage rolls.
$11 brings us up to 38.
And we have a 13 getting us up to 51 now.
Now remember, the range is anywhere between 150 and 165, as another attack brings another 11 up to 62 damage.
Wow, and we see a 16, the max damage, which will get us up to 78.
And another 14, a lot of double digits here. We're up to 92.
Wow, and another 15, which will bring us up to 107. So far, we have not seen anything below 11. Oh, well, I had to say it. We get a 9 at 116 now.
The commentator first strikes again.
And an 8, now 124. 11 will bring us up to 135. Still got 3 heal mores left. As he scores a 15, bringing him up to 150, the minimum amount for Dragon Lord 2's health.
So this next attack could be the final one. He hits for 14, and he's going to do it.
So Dragon Lord 2 somewhere between 151 and 151 and 164 HP.
So, ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs in chat as Game Boy F9 is going to take this race overall in first place among the 10 runners with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 38 seconds.
And we see Sparkover is still going at the Armor Knight grind, and only just a little bit away from that level 19, which, as we saw, was the magic level required in order to take on Dragon Lord 2 here.
Yeah, that 9 attack power boost from 18 to 19, that looked to have been the difference. Now, Mr. Holmes, he has that additional 10 cents from the Silver Shield, so that should make his traversing through Sharlock considerably easier. As I haven't seen his statistics at this point, but I would imagine that he's probably somewhere around the 104, maybe 105 defense total, which, if he's at 105, that is enough to damage break the Armored Knights.
Wow.
And I believe we are joined by Game Boy F9. Congratulations, Game Boy.
Thank you very much. That was, we all thought this was going to be a flying seed, and it wasn't.
Well, it did. It flew with about the ability of some of the early Wright brothers attempts.
Wow, Mr. Holmes is going on 17. Interesting.
Well, Mr. Holmes had done kind of a natural grind and just fought enemies and got up to the 14,800 to purchase the Silver Shield. So he has that extra 10 defense and is hoping that that'll be enough to take him to the top here.
So isn't he only on 96 hit points or something like that?
Yeah, between that and then looks like he's hoping for a level on his way before he fights the Dragon Lord to get him that 18, hoping that's enough for the attack power and HP necessary.
Oh,
yeah, level
okay.
17, 96 HP was the total there.
Oh,
one
my
away
goodness.
from what's desired.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
That's a
go
little
ahead.
bit risky.
I was gonna say, so what was running through your mind on some of those levels, seeing those 1 HP, those 1 attack power, or the 0 HP and 0 attack power games?
Was level 18 the one where we got like 1100 or something like that?
I forget which one. It was one of the teens levels. I think it might have been like 14 to 15 or something along those lines. But you're right. It was 1, 1, 0, and 1.
Oh, that's what it was. That was just that was so weird. I mean, and I don't know. We've had a lot of weird seeds, and I won't say this is the weirdest seed I've ever seen, but it was. Well, as I said, you thought this seed was going to be one of those jet seeds, but oof. And Sharlock was no cakewalk either.
Oh, definitely not. With all the Armor Knights and Fun Police just doing their duty, policing the way.
Well, they were doing their job, I suppose. They cost me a heal more. Excuse me. I almost lost 2.
Yeah, we
And
saw.
then all the time you had the spike tile of the Axe Knight, and you almost, as soon as you see that, you go, "Where were you in the Swamp Cave? Where were you in Hawksnest when I needed you?"
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to figure out which one was better, the Hawksness or the Armored Knight, and I think I chose correctly in taking the Armored Knight, but because it was closer to Hawksness closer than Hawksness was.
It was closer, and then also you had Cole not too far away to run back and heal as well if you chose to go that route.
Oh, I didn't think about jumping over to Cole. I was just like, well, I'll just take the death.
And Holmes did get up to 18. It was the gain of 0, 1, 8, and 4 for that gain from 17 to 18. So not exactly stellar. And you can see he's taking a long look now at those numbers. He's doing the calculating, going, do I have the chance here?
I mean, you have a chance. It's not a good chance, but you do have a chance.
Yeah,
but he's
6 to
milking over
12.
Max Knights.
That's actually a good call.
Yeah, with the Axe Knights being easily taken down there, it would be easy grind, and you get to stay right there at the Dragon Lord, so you don't have to come back.
Yeah, how many herbs does Holmes have? I wonder.
Well, it looks like he's going to go for the old walk and heal.
Yeah, yeah, excellent strategy, in my opinion. But well, anyway, but yeah, what else was going on in that seed? Oh, the one thing I really did not like was not having repel until level 13. So I had to keep running into all these slimes and drakies and whatever.
Yeah, a couple magicians that you had to run away from.
So I did oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was actually a bit worried because I only killed 2 metal slimes, and there were like a bazillion metal slimes in that seed. So I definitely was worried that I might lose to somebody who would kill maybe 4 or 5 or 6 metal slimes. But
well, we did see quite a few on your side. I don't think they were as plentiful on the others. But I did actually have a curiosity. When you took the Death Warp back to Tanager, hoping for the gold grind, which unfortunately was not there, even with traversing through Erdrick's Tablet Cave, you did notice that you had picked up the Silver Harp, but didn't go back over to Cantlin with the shrine being right there as well. I was kind of wondering if maybe you had forgot about it or had something else in mind there.
yeah, I think I just had something else in mind, and I don't remember what was my next move after that. Do you remember?
I believe you stuck to trying to count the steps, which you did actually do quite successfully, as you were the only one of the featured runners to count and not rescue the princess to pick up the token.
Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought at least Holmes would have tried. But me and I would say Tristal might have tried as well, who's not featured. But yeah, although it was a little bit of a challenge. I know I missed by a couple steps, but that must have been what I was focused on, is trying to get that closed out. And I didn't even find the jerk at all. So, I mean, that also was a thing. But then I realized, oh, you know what? If I'm going to go look for the jerk, I might as well go ahead and pick up the staff.
Right, and so that was my thinking there. Is like, why didn't he go get the staff since he was right there anyway? That way he gets his token, runs into the jerk, and he's good to go. And speaking of Tristal, we do have a 1 hour, 28 minute, and 26 second second place finish from Tristal, along with 13 seconds later a third place finish from Up to NG with 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 39 seconds.
Wow, good game, Tristal, and especially good game to Up to NG. Who do you remember, Fran or Ryu? Where do you remember how Up to NG finished in the last tournament?
Oh, you mean in
which
the
one?
2017 tournament?
Yeah, the last one.
Off the top of my head, I can't say that I do, but I can certainly do a little digging here to find out for sure.
Everybody to the internet.
Yeah, so the quick research.
Alright, so 2017 tournament, let's see, Up to NG. Looks like actually round 1 on the 2017 tournament is where it's showing he finished.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is a spectacular finish for Up to NG. Good game to him, and good game to Tristle as well. And
Now, as far as the losers round goes, he did make it into round 2 of the losers round.
Yeah, it looks like his tournament run, he started off falling to Mio, and then in the bonus bracket, he upended Dig Shake, but ultimately fell to Edgeworth. So 1 and 2 in his run, and meanwhile, Sparkover just finishing up here on chat. Get out your GGs for Sparkover, finishing with an official SRL time in 4th place of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 56 seconds, getting just under that hour and a half mark.
Yeah, being what that seed was with the grind needed, sub 1 hour and 30 minutes is definitely a very good time for that.
yeah, GG Sparky.
I think I remember seeing her in chat too, saying she was trying to not go over an hour and a half because she still wasn't feeling well and had work early in the morning. So she she met her goal by 4 seconds.
Good job, Sparkover.
And we do see Mr. Holmes is still working on that Axe Knight grind, but does reach level 19 and is prepared to just go ahead and talk to Dragon Lord and get his, hopefully get his win done. Meanwhile, we do have Tillo who is now making their way down Charlock and is at level 19 as well. So yeah, thoughts on starting with the Hurtmore spell and Erdrick's sword. I believe we saw all 4 of the featured runners just kind of instantly start walking out, not really worrying too much about the early grind on slime, seeing as how you had Hurtmore and Erdrick's sword to be able to deal damage to some of the tougher enemies that would be a little bit further out.
Yeah, it took me. I felt like it took longer than usual for me to find like a really tough monster to just knock down. But again, I guess it worked out. But wow,
Well, the Stonemen hanging out over there by Cantland were certainly being punishing. But you did find a Druin Lord, which you were able to just quickly hurt more down, and I believe that was what got you your first couple of levels there.
Yes, it was Druin Lords that were finally able to get me over. I did feel like it took a little longer than I would have liked, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was faster than all the other featured runners. I have no idea.
Actually, there for a while, Sparkover, as far as experience, was actually in the lead by a decent amount even. But then I think the exploration is what caught up to her there and allowed everybody else to catch up in experience as well. And we do have a 5th place finish from Silverfire with 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 27 seconds.
Yeah, some of our racers, after avoiding the Chaos Tournament, are getting back into the swing of things as we're a couple of months away from the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament, the standard tournament. So we'll see how things go amongst our runners here. Silverfire actually finishing for a tie in 5th in last year's tournament, so looking to place near the top and hopefully advance a little further this year.
All right, I'm going to see if I can get anybody else to jump in here for an interview, so I can hop on out. Did you?
Hello, it's Sil.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, looks like we have a Silverfire.
Yeah, we do indeed. And I just want to make a quick note of Mr. Holmes, who actually took 1st place in the 2016 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament.
Oh wow, I beat Mr. Holmes. Hey. He just finished.
And then 2nd, falling to Game Boy F9 here in the 2017 tournament.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes is certainly one of the best racers at this.
And he just finished in 6th this evening with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 31 seconds. 2 minutes and 4 seconds behind Silverfire joining us here in chat.
And then also closely followed behind by JJ Schmidt with a 1 hour 35 minutes even.
All right, we're gonna have a few other people coming in for interviews, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on out. So many thanks to everyone for the restream and the tracking and the commentary. I really appreciate it this evening.
No problem, Game Boy. Thanks again. Congratulations, and enjoy your evening.
You too. Take care.
So Silverfire, who noted that they were not happy with some of those decisions. What were some of those decisions?
Playing a little bit risky when I was grinding was the biggest one. In that I took a couple deaths because I was like, oh, this hurt more will land, and then it didn't land, and then I died. And just doing that when you're grinding is it's just adding so much inefficiency that, you know, it would have been just faster if I just like, yeah, that's fine, I'll just blow the heal more with the town right there. Because I was grinding, I was hurt mooring the AK-47s in Swamp Cave. And just, there's a town right there, recovering the MP doesn't take that long. Walking back from Tantagel, when you didn't even blow your whole MP pool, takes a lot longer.
Yeah, that does seem to be the what was decided to be the best grind spot was the AKs hiding in the swamp cave.
Not quite.
Well,
the best grind spot was way deep in Sherlock.
This is true. The Axe Knights hiding in the Spiketel in Sherlock just before Dragonlord was actually a better spot, as we did see Mr. Holmes actually grinded from 18 to 19, having reached 18 just prior to the Dragonlord, saw his stats and went right back to those Axe Knights and got level 19 before walking back up to the Dragonlord. And
I don't know about non-agility builds, but I had them defense broken as an agility build, and so I did that. I was actually doing that from 17 halfway through 19, and then there was another decision that I made to like try not to spend all my MP. I should have just spent my MP and went from 17 straight to 19, and then just made the walk a second time.
What's up, guys? I'm barging on on this party as well. What's up to NG? How you doing?
How you doing up to NG?
Yeah, I heard some of Silverfire's comments. I had the same issue. I died at least twice on my grind as well. One time I tried to take on a golem while I was just like stepping, you know, back and forth, and just didn't have the hit points to do it. Another time was the same thing.
Max hit points was such an issue this run. I was an agility build, which made it even worse.
And I believe you usually go with the strength agility as well, don't you, up to NG?
Well, this time, most of the time I go strength HP, and that's what I had this time. But even HP was low enough where I got two-shot by a golem, where I probably should have just run away from him and stayed with the Armor Knight. I took 2 or 3 deaths during the grinds that probably cost me second place, I guess. But it was a fun seed overall. A lot of things went well.
So I imagine if Game Boy just like avoided some of those deaths, I see where that 120 comes from.
Well, actually, to be fair, Game Boy, instead of walking back to Cole, he actually took the deaths at the AK grind in the swamp and walked back to the swamp from Tanajoel.
Yeah,
I actually don't think he ever went back to Cole.
MP is also a valid way to recover your MP.
So what was your final HP with having a strength agility build at level 19 when you went to the Dragonlord?
95.
Oh, wow. So you were going with the risky strat then.
It wasn't that, like, with 120 MP, like, there was one turn where I just had to heal twice in a row, and I still finished it with, like, 40 MP left. Because the only way that he could do damage to bring me below the safe level was to do a max Dragon Breath.
Right. We would have had to hit you with 2 48s in a row.
Yeah, and I mean, I had so much MP, I didn't even have to risk that.
Well, still, 25% chance.
Well, 25% chance if he does the Dragon Breath.
The other thing I was thinking about was, I went in at 18 and I only needed a handful of monsters to get to 19. I really had a strong feeling 19 was the one. I kind of feel like I should have done it a little earlier, because when you have high defense power and you're defense breaking so many enemies, it makes it a much more valid strategy to to
That's
fight your way
very
down.
that's very true. On the other hand, that Sharlock was mean. There
Oh
were
yeah,
fun police and AK-47s everywhere.
and a sprinkling of green dragons. I don't believe we actually ever saw any blue dragons appear anywhere, so they may not have existed, or they just were low
there
encounter.
were some blue dragons in the field around Hawksness, but it was just like a single enemy out there.
Okay, yeah, I never found
killed
Hawksness. I was going to ask what the grind was there.
Hawksness was Golem, and it was like a little bit south of Swamp Cave. It's like way along the coast.
We do have our 8th place finisher, Jay Coper, with a 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 21 seconds, followed closely by Tilo, our last featured runner, with a 9th place finish of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 53 seconds.
Yeah, good game to everyone. I assume that the people that did not go east and find the armor immediately were probably behind those of us who did. That was a pretty big factor.
Yeah, I didn't find the armor right away. I actually died twice knowing where that town was and not being able to get to it, because even though I had like 60 agility, I couldn't run from a stone man.
Yeah, there were stone men, there were wizards, there were werewolves, just all sprinkled along that path. And then you had the werewolves which had hurt more as well.
Yep. Yeah, we had some hurt more contests against werewolves, that's for sure.
Exploration, early on with the enemies that were about and that low HP count. I mean, all the way up until I think level 13 on the strength HP build is where we saw the large gain that got everybody up to 89. Prior to that, they were only at 69 HP at level 12, I believe.
I was at like 63 as an agility build. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the lowest HP count seeds I've seen. And then for being strength HP builds, the agility just kept on coming.
Yeah, strength was low also. So like strength and HP were supposed to be strong, and both strength and HP were low.
That makes you wonder. Maybe a what is one of the other builds? MP agility build maybe might have been a little more favorable.
No, you definitely needed the max HP was just too important there.
Well, I'm pretty sure we didn't have the strength until level 19 as well. So
the strength was like 124 at 18, or else I would have been able to do it. Because it was like 0 HP at level 19 or something like that.
And it looks like we are joined by Tilo. Great race, tough seed. So I'd actually honestly be happy with that time on a seed like that.
It was really weird because it has such a fast start, and then it just didn't let up. Like it was like, yeah, you thought this was a jet seed.
They were calling for the free sub hour in the chat.
Actually, for me, it went really fast until I was grinding on the Armor Knights, and we just had to grind like 8 or 9 levels. So
Well, I mean, everybody had everything found, sub hour, but then that grind happened. So what were your thoughts on that seed, Tilo?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. How on earth did a seed where we started with Hurtmore at level 1 and started with Erdrick's Sword in the throne room end up at 1 hour and 40 minutes?
Grindfest happened. Even with having the 75% experience on, still having to get to level 19 is a tough grind.
And there wasn't really a good grind spot. I mean, obviously, looking at chat, the Armored Knights, which I used and pretty much everybody used apparently, but they were nasty because we didn't have many MP for a long time. It would take 2 Hurtmores because we didn't have enough damage to kill him with the second blow, and it was just brutal.
Yeah, I mean, you were limited on the HP. As I was noting, until level 13, you only had a max of 69, and then you were limited on the MP, which in the later levels, 17, 18, 19, the MP just it came finally. But at that time, when the grind was being started, you didn't have much MP for healing. You didn't have much for hurt mooring. So you were stuck with either go until you're out, get sent back to Tangel, walk back, or walk out, go to Cole, heal, and come back.
I think the thing that probably hurt me the most was that I refused to accept that the Armored Knight was the best grind. So I ended up in Charlock trying all sorts of different things, tried to go up and down in the Swamp Cave, trying to find metal slimes potentially. I just went everywhere, and that may have cost me some.
Yeah, we did see that you did do a little bit of grinding in Charlock, which the green dragons weren't really too bad, but the problem was you kept running into the Stonemen, the Armored Knights, and the Red Dragons, which the Red Dragons and the Armored Knights were not fun to play with at all, especially with the fun plays having heal more. I mean, that just made it near impossible to take one of those down.
Oh wow, I didn't even know they had heal more. I only think I killed one, and fortunately he didn't cast that.
And we have Kababesh, which will be our final finisher in 10th place with a 1 hour, 45 minute, and 43 second time.
And it was certainly a rough one, as Kababesh quickly signing off right after basically dunning, as I was kind of keeping a track on that seed while the interviews were going on here.
I definitely don't. I don't envy anyone who was in this race. I do actually plan on getting in some of these weeklies prior to the tournament starting, which will be in the end of July. Hopefully, everybody who is in the race will be seeing as well in that tournament. But I definitely don't envy anybody being in this one, and have to say I'm glad I wasn't in it, because that is a tough seed to have to grind through. Especially with the easy start. You had the sword, you had hurt more. It wasn't long before you had Stones of Sunlight and the Silver Harp and the armor. So I mean, all the items came rather quickly. It was just those levels that were not quick at all.
Well, they were
late in the game.
20, 30 minutes, and then once you got into those mid-levels, that's where the trouble started.
Yeah, the levels early on were quick. I mean, I think in under 10 minutes, everybody was at least level 6 or more. But then, yeah, the late game levels, it became, what do we grind on and what can we grind on? And then, of course, the coordinates, while not the worst that we've seen, they weren't very nice either.
Yeah, I counted those on my end. I was curious if people were getting the princess or if everybody was counting.
We did see that Game Boy F9 actually did count his way out, but Mr. Holmes, Sparkover, and Tillo did go for the princess rescue, seeing as how you couldn't go north to start your count since there's nothing but mountains. And then as soon as you started going east, you had a big chunk of water. So then you had to double back on your count south a bit, then go east, and then start your north count again.
Yeah, for some reason, I never found the Swamp Cave until near the end of exploring that entire first continent. So, for me, I just didn't know how to get the princess. So I was like, oh, I guess we got to try counting. And it took me actually twice. I failed on the first count, and I had to redo it. So it was a tough count.
So I said it wasn't the worst count, seeing as how it was less than 100 steps total. Yeah, certainly if it was something a little more worse, like 100 plus steps, like maybe 70 north and 80 east, definitely probably would have wanted a princess for that one.
But yeah, only 86 steps combined, 35 north and 51 east. Would you believe that it was harder than you thought it was?
Yeah, that's like I said, nothing but mountains to your north and then a large chunk of water to your east. It makes it a little more difficult than your normal count would be.
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely knew from exploring the continent that it would be on the first continent. I kind of knew where it would generally be, but yeah, it was kind of a windy path. So I ended up counting it, but I was sure that maybe I was losing time. If I knew where the princess was, I would have probably used her.
And we do see Game Boy actually had ran into quite a few metal slimes, and JJ Schmidt also saying they ran into quite a few. What about with you two, Uptinji and Tilatillo? I know we didn't see very many metal slimes on your side, Tilatillo, but what was your encounter rate like for those, Uptinji?
I actually encountered quite a few metal slimes in a few different places. I think they were in dungeons as well as overworld, and I only think I killed maybe 2 the entire run. Definitely at least 1. I think only 2. I probably ran into 10 or 12 of them along the way, and they were just they were just running away from me as usual. So interesting though that they were out there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I had the same thing. I saw maybe 10 to 15. I mean, like I said earlier, I was moving up and down the swamp cave, hoping to run into them there, and there was also some above the swamp cave, but they always managed to run away. I think I ended up getting 2 of all of the ones I found.
Yeah, it's funny because if you have a seed where you have very high strength and you need something else like hit points or something, you can get to the point where you can one-shot metal slimes, and that becomes a valid grind at that point. But we were low strength the whole way, and every time I found one, they just ran away. So
yeah, it seems like the metal slimes overall were rather plentiful, but just nobody could get them to stick around long enough. And Game Boy, he actually had a metal slime he went about 10 rounds with. It stayed long enough for that, and he did finally actually get that one down. But man, the amount of turns and time it took to take it down just made it not so much worth.
yeah, one of the issues, especially when you're running around on a fast Hurtmore seed, is that it's actually kind of hard to run away from a metal slime. So if you feel like it could be a long battle and then you might not get him, there's not much you can do about it sometimes. You're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, you keep either hoping for the critical to take it down instantly, or getting enough luck to first couple of rounds you get the hits or it runs, and after that it really starts becoming much slower if you keep missing and it stays around. and JJ here noting in the Discord that first time he felt metal slimes were a nuisance. I can understand the sentiments. I know I've had a few seeds. I'm sure Tilatillo, Uptinji, and some of the other runners have had some seeds where the metal slimes had hurt more, or metal slimes had a heal spell even, which, I mean, on a metal slime seeing heal, it may as well just run away. Don't even bother, because you're going to get 1, maybe 2 damage, and then it's going to heal, and then you're done. Yeah, sometimes as wanted as they are for that 255 experience, sometimes they're more of a pain.
Yeah, they are definitely worth the trouble that they tend to cause. That is for sure. Lenny, any final thoughts on the seed here, Uptinji or Tilatillo?
I've yet to run a sub-hour, and I thought this one was going to be my first. I was massively disappointed.
Well,
there will definitely be seeds in the future, and I'm sure that sub-hour will come. It's just a matter of that right combination, that right set of directions. It's like a pitcher trying to throw a no-hitter. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but when it does, it feels oh so good.
I can only I think I can only remember maybe once I've had a sub-hour on normal flags. Chaos flags sub-hours are much more common, but on normal flags I've had maybe 1 that was sub-hour. Most of the time it's usually about 115, 130 mark. And more often than not, it's due to a grind. No matter how much you start off with a lot of goodies quick, it usually comes down to how much did you have to grind. I had one just the other week. Everything was in Tanager. Erdrick's sword was there. The Stones of Sunlight were there. The treasury held the silver harp and the token. And there was the silver shrine in the basement of Tanager, so you had the staff for rain there as well. So, I mean, everything was just there. You didn't have to go exploring anywhere. You didn't have to search Mountain Cave. You didn't have to search the grave. All you had to find was the armor. And that one still, due to the grind, ended up being like an hour and 20-minute seed. So, as free as a seed seems, sometimes, like I said, that grind just gets the better of you.
Most definitely. And for more reaction, analysis, and otherwise, make sure to join the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord that you can see there in chat. If you also want to give your hand a try at this, the link to the randomizer itself is there. I want to thank our restreamer to Tie-Dye Guy, as well as our tracker Melee Wizard. Make sure to give them a follow, as well as our racers here, Game Boy F9, our featured racers, also Mr. Holmes, Tilo, and Sparkover. And for my broadcast partner, Rhea Station, I'm Ferran Burgundy saying until next time, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. Good night, everyone.